So, during the journey over here, something small collided with the hull. Due to the fact that we were all sound asleep at the time, we can't know for sure what the cause was, but the damage seemed minimal. We were lucky. It could have been worse. Still, we figured the best course of action was to schedule a spacewalk to address the issue. As our only engineer, Marmalade didn't have much of a choice about whether or not to go outside. We have a buddy system in place, and he asked me to spot him. I've done my fair share of spacewalks. I knew what to expect. Marmalade, though, he was nervous. I could see him shaking while we suited up. It went okay at first. I did what I could to reassure him, and I thought he was holding in there. Then he almost got himself killed. Unfortunately, Marmalade's accident was somewhat in vain. Not long after we arrived, I noticed the ship started to slip into a decaying orbit. It seemed likely that it was the result of the damage caused by the collision, so I was hopeful that our repairs would fix the problem. Not so. A few weeks later, it happened again. Then again. And again. Not a clue as to why. When I told Vermilion about it, he said it sounded like a car with its wheel alignment off. Whatever that means. Have you ever started to get anxious that you're overlooking an embarrassingly simple solution to a problem? I was there. At one point, I found some old comics that I stacked on a control panel. I almost had a heart attack when I realized what I'd done. It was a relief to find the ship was still drifting after I moved them. Well, you know, kind of. did get to the bottom of why the ship was drifting the way it was. Not on my own, at least. Eventually, Canary either got sick of hearing about it or began to get concerned that I was dropping the ball. She contacted the captain to ask for advice. Not what I would have done, but I got my answer. As it happens, it's a known issue in our model of ship. Crazy, right? More importantly, not my fault. The captain was great about it, too. She could have chewed me out for not reporting it sooner, but she didn't. You could always count on her for that, you know? Not really the iron fist type. A bit of kindness goes a long way. In the wake of Marmalade's accident, it was the captain that sanctioned the extra rations that allowed Canary to bake his birthday cake. She's a good egg. Look, I understand the importance of keeping fit, I do, really. But Vermilion's mandatory daily workouts were a burden on my soul. We had to wear these wristbands that would track how far we'd run on any given day and relay our progress back to Vermilion. Naturally, I endeavored to find a shortcut. Initially, I just tried to cram all of my week's quota into a single day, leaving me with 6 days off. Genius, right? I just about managed it, but Vermilion told me that not only was that borderline dangerous, it was just not how this works. Anyway, I eventually found a use for those cats I was telling you about. Turns out they get around quite a bit, so I just attached my wristband to the most excitable one and forgot about it for a while. It took Vermilion longer than I'm comfortable admitting to work out what I'd done. It was me that put the request in for these old machines. They take me back to being a teenager. I get so wrapped up in the nostalgia of it all. I used to bike down to the arcade after school most days. There was this one kid who went by Red. She held the high score on practically every machine in there. Grady, I know. I set out to beat her at my favorites. Spent a lot of time and pocket change trying too. Never managed it though. For some reason it really stuck with me. I figured that with all the spare time I would have out here, I could take another shot at getting those scores, get some closure on that front. Well, it took a few weeks, but I finally came out on top. It felt amazing. Then Aubergine walked in the next day and bumped me back to second, which did not.